Fuck. My hand hurts. Let me hop onto my Twitch stream. I just started TikTok live. Where is the dogs? So I'm not like lagging. Oops. Let's see. Where am I currently? Oh, it looks like I'm on YouTube too. I forgot that I like set that up. But yeah, so I'm on here. I'm about to start a TikTok live really quick. I got a shit ton of stuff to do today. I'm going to 2 schools at once. One in person in California and one online, which just started today. I barely got any sleep last night, but I got like 1 or 2 out. No, probably like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I've hardly slept in the past 2 days because I've been so busy. And then I thought that I had 2 Zoom classes today, but they're actually tomorrow, and then the other one was today. But I guess it wasn't mandatory, thank God, because it was on Florida time. And so I set my alarm for 11:50 a.m., but California time, and I would have missed class completely. It's like 2 o'clock in Florida right now, which I forgot. So thank God that wasn't mandatory because that was the first day. Let me see if I'm lagging on here. I'm trying to get into the sugar lifestyle. Currently 24. Am I too late to think? No, you're not. 24 is like a good age. And the thing is, at any age, something that I experienced too, and I still do. Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm not lagging. Let me know if I'm lagging at like any time. Hold on. Yeah, let me know if I'm lagging because I feel like I'm lagging. But as far as like somebody
Yeah, let me know if I'm lagging because I feel like I'm lagging. But as far as like somebody
oh yeah, okay. But so as far as somebody asked the sugar lifestyle, so guys, I've been dancing and sugar dating or whatever since I was like 18 years old, and guys from the time I was like 23, I think guys would always be trying to like pressure me to like settle down, if that makes sense. So first of all, I don't think you're too old, but you're not too old. You're actually extremely young at 24 years old. You know, I know on social media like TikTok and stuff, they like to make it seem like if you're not freshly 18 years old, you're too old to sugar date. You're not. There's girls that still do it into their 30s and their mid 30s, and they still look beautiful. I think it's all about how you keep up with your appearance and you take care of your body. Um, and as far as that, and then somebody asked, I want a guy to pay for my implants and other surgeries. How do I go about doing that? I don't know because I took out a student loan to pay for my surgeries, and I actually did like a little bit of I financed it. I kind of like stole my mom's social security number a while ago, and I took out a credit card under her name to finance my surgeries. I tried to get a guy to pay for my surgeries. And my ex, he used to. So that's the thing. Sugar dating is very complicated. But I'm gonna explain it. But there's a lot of like little dynamics. So for the majority of my life, I worked as a stripper, and I wasn't really like a sugar baby. So I wouldn't really see guys and make relationships with them. I was more so just like I was doing dates, perhaps. So I guess that's more comparative to like escort work. And I was also stripping on the side. Um, Many girls that do get the surgeries, it's because they're like dating the guy. It's like a boyfriend for them, like a long-term boyfriend, and they date them for like 1 or 2 or 3 years. But usually for a guy to like spend that type of money, they have to be getting like some type of investment, like where they know that they're gonna not really make their money back, but like they're gonna get their usage out of it, because they're basically buying you titties to sleep with you, and you're enhancing their visual experience while you're sleeping with them. But they want to make sure that they get their value back, like the money that they spent. So they want to make sure that it's going to be a girl who's not just going to get the surgeries and then go run off and find a new guy and completely leave them, because a lot of girls do that. A lot of girls, guys will buy them fake titties and a fake ass, and now all of a sudden they're getting attention from guys who are way more high value or high net worth individuals, and they end up leaving the guy. So that's why a lot of guys are like reluctant to pay for surgeries. But it's usually easy to find a guy, easier, I would assume, that is already into a girl with fake titties, because some guys, like, they're not really buying it for you, they're buying it for them, if that makes sense. And so if a guy doesn't care about titties and he's an ass guy, he's not really going to want to buy you the titties. It's going to be easier to convince a guy that likes a girl with fake titties. Does escort work not pay that well? I always thought sex work paid more than a 9 to 5. I bet considering that too. I think escorting actually pays more than sugar dating. The only reason I recently started, I guess, like sugaring or whatever you would call it, is because in LA we don't really have escorting here. I mean, if you want to get like signed up with an agency, which is like illegal in LA, and it's a lot of like underground stuff, almost like the mafia or like a drug ring, how they operate underground. Because LA, it's not like Las Vegas, it's not like Miami, it's not like Atlanta or other cities where they have really nice strip clubs and a really good nightlife. And because we don't have a good nightlife, we don't have good strip clubs. And yeah, so it pays more, but like, see, I feel like I'm lagging. Escorting pays more. Oh, that's sick as fuck. She said she's from London. I hate when I lag. Let me try to force close my browser apps or something. But so one thing about guys that I did want to say, as far as like the sugar dating and the age, I just feel like I'm lagging really bad right now. But is that, so even from the time when I was 24, the one thing about like sugar dating and these guys is that no matter your age, these guys, they like control over women. So sugar dating, because these guys they are paying it, like they are sugar dating. It's not like a real relationship where you're just dating somebody because you like them. It is mutually beneficial, and you can fall in love with sugar daddies. You can end up liking them. It can turn into a real relationship or whatever. But usually it starts off as something transactional, and they know that. And because they know that, they basically like to have a lot of control over the woman. And so they will always be trying to gaslight you and play head games with you and manipulate you. When I was younger, I didn't really see it. But now that I'm older and wiser and I do study psychology, I notice it a lot. So like, guys, I have nice tits, perky in the implants, and guys do like them. It does always get attention with guys. But still, even when I start seeing a guy or dating or sleeping with them, they will start comparing me to girls with no titties. You know what I mean? Like the guy that I was recently just like seeing, who I'm actually not speaking to anymore, he would always be in my face of like, oh, but you're not a real woman. My ex was so beautiful. She had natural titties. She was so, I was like, then go be with your ex then. Then like go hang out with your ex, like go be around her, go be with her. Or whatever, but it's not really that he wanted to be with his ex. It's that they're just trying to play, he was trying to play mind games with me. And even as far as my age, so I'm 27, but most people that I meet in real life, they ask me, they're like, oh, how old are you? You look 23, you look 24, you look, I look fairly young for my age. I'm not saying I look like a teenager, because I don't, but I don't look old. I look really good for my age. But he would always be like, yeah, but you're getting so old. You're getting so, old, don't you want to settle down? Don't you want to stop this? Blah, 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 blah. And he didn't just do this to me. There was another girl that came over to his house one night with some friends that we were hanging out with, and she was like 23 or 24 years old. And even when he was around her, he would start saying stuff about her appearance to her, trying to bring down her self-esteem. And I actually checked him on this shit a few times. I was like, yo, don't talk to her, don't say that to her. And then even yesterday I told him, I was like, you know what, you're not going to disrespect me anymore, or I was like, if you say one more thing about my appearance, or you disrespect me one more time, trying to call me old, or trying to say that I'm whatever, as far as my looks, or trying to talk about my looks, that I'm not natural. I was like, I'm done talking to you completely. And I had to end up blocking him because he sent me some apology, but in the apology, he was like, I wish I could show you guys the messages. Well, actually, can I? I don't know. It was somewhere on my phone, but he texted me. I deleted them, but let me try to look since my phone is charging. He sent me a video of some girl because he knows that I do TikTok. And when we were hanging out, you know, he actually took a video of all of my TikTok videos when we were hanging out. He was like, oh, show me your TikTok feed. And so I'm going through all of like my highest viewed videos, and he's recording them. And then he posted on his story, clearly trying to make his ex-girlfriend mad or jealous or something, which is like pathetic. But many of these guys, these sugar daddies or whatever, they are just like him in the sense that they are all extremely immature emotionally, and they act like they are kids or teenagers. Like, honestly, if you are looking for a guy to, is he young himself? No, he's like 44, 45. And he's not ugly, but, you know, he's not a supermodel or anything like that. You know, I'm not going to call him ugly or insult his appearance, because I'm not insecure enough to be like, oh, he's ugly and talk shit about his appearance. But, you know, I could, because he very easily likes to critique stuff about me, like my boobs or whatever, you know. But it's just like one thing that, yeah, sugar daddies, they will try to bring down your self-esteem, especially for a girl like me. Being that I am going to 2 colleges right now, you know, I have a pretty successful online platform, even while being shadow banned. I would say that I'm a pretty like productive person, or I'm kind of like going places in life. You know, my overall vision for my life isn't going to be achieved for a few more years, because I have a few more years of work to do. But when guys know that you have potential, especially, and that you're strong-minded and you're confident, these sugar daddies, they want you insecure and they want you weak. They don't want you, you know, and not all of them, but to find a man that's actually like emotionally supportive and wants the best for you or whatever, it's very rare. Because like I said, most men at their ages, 44, 45, they should be married with kids in a real relationship. So you have to ask, what made them go their whole life at this point, 44 years old? Are they likely to settle down at that age? Usually if a man is single with no kids at that age, it is for a reason, in my experience. You know, there's people like Shara7 who are going to say like, oh, yes, go find an older man for the money. And it's true. Men that are older in their 40s and 45, they do have more money. It is true. But if you're looking for something long-term and something serious, it's extremely rare to find one at that age that does not have the emotional like offerings of a toddler, basically. You know, Shara7, she got kind of like what I would call lucky in what she found, because hers is a real relationship. She might have initially started being with him for money, but she is clearly still with this guy because she loves him. And I think it's clear that she's in love with him. You know, she's always saying this, she talks like a good game, and she talks this like tough game of like, oh, if he goes broke, I'm gonna leave him, and this and this and that. But I really don't think, I think he could file bankruptcy and she would stay around. Like, it's clear that she is in love with this dude, you know? And it's inevitable, because if you end up having a sugar relationship, you know, moving in with somebody and it just progresses in that direction, eventually you're gonna catch like feelings for them, you know, and stuff like that. But he was like a rare find. Even as far as like sugar dating, a lot of these guys don't respect or have any respect for your time or what you're doing. So like me being in school, so often, and running my social media, many of these men, they treat you like your time and your life doesn't matter. Like, they'll be wanting you to stay up and get drunk and high with them all night long and party with them on a Monday or on a Tuesday. or something like that, because you know that's when they're free and they're available, and it's like, oh, you can't, it's like, I can't, I have school, or I have this to do, or I need to post this video or make this content, and they have no respect for it. You know, if you can't hang out that night, they will just go find somebody else to sleep with that night. You know, they treat you basically like a drug dealer almost, of like, you know, you can have a favorite drug dealer that you buy your weed off of all the time, but if you call him and he's not available, what are you going to do? You're going to go call your other plug. And so basically that's how a lot of these guys treat it, but at the same time they want complete loyalty from you. You know, guys always say they don't mind or whatever, or they'll try to convince a girl that they're being loyal and they're not cheating. The entire time they are cheating, so that way they have plenty of options in case shit between you guys doesn't work out. Meanwhile, if you guys break up, you won't have any options because you were trying to take this guy seriously and the whole time he was playing you. So that's another problem that I have with sugar dating. But I still do it because it's like the only hustle in Los Angeles. I don't sugar date every single day. You know, if I wasn't in school and TikTok, I could probably be out the clubs or finding men or making little boyfriends. You know, I really don't even like calling them boyfriends because they're not real boyfriends. You know, they all, it's like, it's really like escorting with a girlfriend experience. And that's what LA is. It's basically like escorting, but girlfriend experience escorting. So it's weird, and I don't like it, but I do it occasionally. You know, I'll do it a few times a month, maybe like once a week or something like that if I have bills due. But for the most part, since I quit stripping and just like being in college, I've mostly just tried to lower my expenses and everything like that. And somebody said, should I get this surgeries before sugaring or sex working? You don't need to. I actually think it's better if you start off without them, because it's like every guy has a preference. I know that like when I was younger, they will make you seem like you need to have tits and you need to be, they make it like when you see these girls, these social media influencers out in Dubai or whatever with their bodies and their faces all done and these watches on and private jets, understand that that took them like 10 years of work to obtain all of that, what they have. You know, Chloe Khan, she's one I talk about all the time, but she started off with no tits, like nothing. She started off broke as hell, looked like she was from the trailer park. She's put in a lot of work. But the thing is, you're not going to get to her level without taking the first steps. You have to take the first steps, because you need to get that experience, and basically you learn the hustle, you learn the finesse, you find the guys, you learn which guys are wasting your time, you learn how to play the game back, you learn how to become a player. You have to be a player to even finesse a lot of those high value items out of a man, such as the cars, the condos, the surgeries and all that shit. To obtain that, it takes major finesse and a lot of commitment and time. So you, to even learn the finesse game, you're gonna have to basically just get in the field and start off. But you don't need them. And many guys, like, even like I said, it really doesn't matter, because even once you have the tits, you're still gonna have guys like I do, that will be now showing you a bunch of girls on Instagram that don't have their titties done. You know, and then when you're a girl without titties, I'm sure that the guy that I'm talking about, I'm sure that he's showing his other ex or the other girl that he's like seeing or dealing with, I'm sure he's probably showing her photos of me like, oh, look at how big her titties are. Oh, don't you wish you had titties this big, or something like that, to fuck with her head. You know, meanwhile, he's telling me the complete opposite, because that's just what these guys will do to you. So don't even honestly worry. And another thing about these guys too, is that most men, they talk a big game on social media like, oh, I'm a high value man, I need a high value woman. First of all, there's no such thing as a high value man. You can be a fucking billionaire or a millionaire. If you are a bum dude and a piece of shit, you are not a high value man. Because what is the point of dating a man that is a millionaire or a billionaire if he's not spending any of that money on you? Like literally even over the weekend too, I was at this rave and there's this dude there and he always like brags. He's like, oh, I own these businesses, I do this, I have this money. He's always trying to tell me how much money he has. Like, that doesn't matter if you're not spending the money on me. Like, that's great that you have all of that going for you, but personally, why do I care about how much money you make if you're not spending any of that money? And so it's the same thing. There can be a man that makes a lot of money, but that does not make him a high value man. It makes him a rich bum. So basically like a rich ass bum. Um, and yeah, there's websites where girls surgeries pay for out like pay with them. I've heard of that. It was like a crowdfunding for girls surgeries and they would pay for them without meeting. But the thing is, it's never as simple as the internet makes it seem. Even with OnlyFans, right? So I did a little bit of softcore stuff on OnlyFans or whatever. Um, but most guys don't just pay for a photo of your titties. They will every once in a while, right? Or usually to like start off a conversation, they'll buy some of your content and message you of like, oh, hey, I really like this content. Could you make me more? Blah, blah, blah. But usually, in my experience, all of like my spenders on OF, it's basically been like online virtual boyfriends, which is why I don't really do OF because I don't have the time. I guess if you're super successful on OF with like 10, 15,000 followers and you're making like 10 to 20K a month off of it, then it's reasonable to pay for an assistant basically to respond to all of these guys' messages for you because you're too busy actually making the content to like talk to them all day long. But that's how it becomes because most of those guys that are spenders, they are basically like online sugar daddies. But they just don't want the photos or the videos. They want you to talk to them and text them all day long. Listen to their problems. Tell them their problems. Like call them on the phone, FaceTime them. It turns into like a full-time job. And it's a lot of work. I mean, if it's like your only option in life to do OnlyFans and you have unlimited free time to really like build that entire platform to make money off of it, because to even make money on there, you have to have a good size following, a really good size following. And it also takes a lot of time and a lot of time to build those platforms and get that like audience and that regular audience. And taking those photo shoots, at first you have to buy the new lingerie, the new backgrounds. A lot of girls, they have to pay like photographers or they have to rent out studios. Like in LA, a lot of these professional OF girls, they rent out like studios. We have like little studios for photo shoots here. Like a lot of people, they turn their apartments into like a photo studio basically. And then they rent it out to other people for like the hour to do photo shoots in downtown LA a lot. So there's a lot of expenses that go into OF too because it's like guys, even the background of my video right now, if I was doing OnlyFans per se, they only want to see this background so many times. They only want to see the same outfit so many times. You constantly have to be switching it up to like keep it fresh and keep it new, kind of like the strip club. And it's just like a lot of work and a lot of investments in time. And somebody asked, am I back in school again? Yeah, I'm actually doing 2 schools right now. I'm taking online courses in Florida, at FIU, and then I'm also doing in-person classes at California State University right now. So I'm trying to juggle like 2 schools, but I might end up dropping the ones in California and staying with just Florida online. But I really come to like my classmates and just like the experience of going to school in person and meeting new people and just being in the classroom, that it's kind of making me want to like do both. And since I don't really have to work right now, because a lot of people know that I get like Section 8 or whatever, so my rent's pretty much paid. Like I don't need money for my rent paid. I do still like sugar date, to pay for other expenses like hair, clothes, makeup, nails, stupid shit like hand soap, body wash, hair, like the living expenses. I sugar date for that money, but I don't really have to like work to get my rent paid anymore. So that's been like kind of a blessing because it gives me a lot of time where I do have time that I feel like I could manage going to 2 schools at once, especially because my in-person classes with California, they're only 3 days a week. The only reason I would drop California is because my professors there they're not rated that good, and I don't want to fuck up my GPA, but that's something like I have another few days to make that decision of what I'm gonna do. But yeah, sugar dating, I would say like straight up hop in that bitch. You don't need the titties because even once you get them, there's gonna be men they're always gonna be comparing you to what you're not. Like if you're a skinny girl, they're gonna be trying to manipulate your head of like, oh, you should be curvy, or look at this curvy girl on my feed, look at blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, go find a curvy girl then. You know, then they get with a curvy girl and they show that curvy girl a bunch of skinny women, like, oh, look at this super skinny girl. Um and somebody said, but mine are saggy. But like the thing is, nobody is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Nobody is like perfect, period. I mean, unless you're like an OG escort in the game, which is usually like when you're in your 30s, like again, a Chloe Khan, and by that time you've had your entire body done. But almost, I feel like in real life, if you saw her in real life, she would look like a cartoon. You know, she looks good on photos and stuff like that, and she's definitely very good for the camera. But I feel like if you saw a girl like her in real life, she would look like a cartoon and a clown. To be quite honest, you know, I feel like she's never going to be able to get married or really have kids or a real happy relationship, because any guy that sees her, I'm sure she's also going to look like a clown and a bimbo to them, you know? She has basically made her entire life and her entire livelihood into being like a bimbo, which is cool for her because she makes money off of it or whatever, but like eventually when you get so deep in the game, you're unable to exit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the deeper and the further that you get, and if you don't have any backup plans or backup options, you are stuck in the game. And especially for somebody like Chloe Khan, like, she's not really taken seriously as an influencer either. You know, you don't really see her getting a lot of brand deals and collaborations because she's not brand friendly. She's not like an Alex Earl. She's not that marketable. You know, she's a beautiful girl, but you're not going to see her on like a Sephora ad anytime soon because she is not marketable. A lot of brands are going to say, hey, look, we're not going to have a sex worker on our thing. Even though 2024 is still progressive in our thinking and we're more accepting of shit now, still a lot of like big brands like Nike's, Adidas, all of that shit, you are not going to see her be on that. So she's kind of like stuck being an Instagram model and an escort. And she's probably never gonna be taken seriously. But she does look good, but no, not everybody's body is like perfect. You know, I have a small butt. You know, I have big boobs, but I have a small butt. I don't have a huge fake ass, you know, but even if I did, I'm sure I would find guys that are telling me, oh, I like girls with smaller booties. I like girls that look like Sasha Grey with a small booty, you know? So it's like, do what makes yourself happy and never get surgery for a man or thinking that, like, that was a mistake with my boobs. I bought my boobs because I was like, you know what, if I invest this money into myself, it's gonna make me money back. Like, the money's gonna make itself back. Like, I'm gonna be able to get a guy with this that it has more money and they're gonna pay me more money. That never really happened. I'm still glad I got them done because I didn't like my titties, and I do like them bigger now just due to my own insecurities. So it has given me more confidence. But I'm still single. Like, if anything, guys take me less seriously because the big boobs, you know? I have to like fight a little bit harder to be taken seriously in school or even at work or whatever I do because a lot of people can't see past fake titties. You know what I'm saying? So, but do it because you want it. But also, like, if a guy is not buying it for you, don't expect that like the investment's gonna pay for itself back, if that makes sense. Like, it will be a cool thing if it does get paid back from what you invested, but if it doesn't, you have to be okay with that. So always do it for yourself. And also fuck with the majority things too, because a majority of the shit you see online is fake as fuck. It is fake as fuck. Like, there's so many people that will try to shame people for being broke or not having money in their account or whatever, or all of this shit. You know, on social media, I think it's so funny because, like, a majority of the people in the world, if I was to walk out on the street right now in LA and ask how many people how much they have in their bank account, the majority are not going to have over $10,000 in their bank account. I actually heard something like most Americans don't even have $4,000 in their savings or whatever. And that's not everybody, but you know, on social media, there will be somebody who is like riding the bus, somebody with fucking 50 cents in their bank account that is going to go on there and call you broke or call you poor because, you're not in a Rolls Royce, because you're not on a private jet, because you are not posting from some fucking Airbnb in a fucking foreign country. They're going to say, oh, you're broke. You're when they're broke themselves. You know, on social media, like, they're always calling people ugly on there too. Even so many people, they've talked shit about my appearance. But it's like, what do they look like? So it's like everything is fake on there. And But as far as like finding like a guy, if you're looking for like a real relationship, um there's a lot of guys that are in their early 30s that are making money like fresh in their career, where they have just like started, right? If they didn't already, because like I'm a late bloomer where I'm 27, but I'm still working on my bachelor's. But most people my age, everybody that I went to high school with, they're already in the workforce. They've already finished college, graduate school. They already became doctors and lawyers. Or already like they're working now. They're working real jobs. And they're like my age, so they're looking to settle down. They're 27. They're I wouldn't say maybe 27, perhaps like 31, 32. But I think it's kind of better to find a guy at 31 or 32 who has just finished college. He just got a job. He is like a new young doctor, a new young lawyer. You know what I mean? Because at that point, they are going to be looking for a woman to take seriously. They are going to be looking for a woman to get married to and have kids with. You know what I'm saying? Usually by the time that these men are in their 40s or 45 or whatever, they've already been hurt in their 30s. They already found the person that they thought they were going to marry when they were 31, 32, that they wanted kids with, and shit didn't work out, and they have emotional damage where it just makes them become a bachelor for life. And that's when they just start paying all these sugar babies and escorts to keep being players and bachelors for the rest of their lives. If a guy is not married and settled down by age 45, it is unlikely that he is going to settle down. I would say actually by age 42, age 40 even. It's unlikely he is going to settle down. Now, don't get me wrong, there are stories of many girls, many escorts or sugar babies that they do girlfriend experience with no condom. And I think you asked that earlier, is girlfriend experience no condom? It usually is no condom. But like there's girls, of course, that they will kind of like trap these guys, right? And guys will, I wouldn't say they really trap girls. It does happen, but it's kind of rare. A lot of times a guy with the money, they know that they have money and they're not looking to trap anybody. They want freedom. That's why they became rich, is to get freedom. But a lot of these girls, they will accidentally or purposely get pregnant by these guys, and then at that point, they're like, well, fuck it, I'm 45, I just got this girl pregnant. I guess I'll fucking marry her, But it's more of like it's not a choice for them. It's more of like they're just doing what society expects from them because, oh shit, I accidentally got my fucking hooker pregnant. Let me at least throw a ring on it so that way my fucking friends in society doesn't clown me that I have a kid by a fucking hooker who I'm not even married to. But like, do you really want a guy? And it's okay if you do. Because actually when I was younger, I low-key, I was like, oh, I'll just trap a rich guy with a baby. When I was like 21, I used to think like that. And then as I started experiencing and dealing with these men more, I was like, actually, hell no, I don't want any type of relationships with on those terms. But yeah, that's what a lot of them do. So I think the best thing though is actually to look for a younger guy because they're not emotionally damaged and they're making money where they're actually going to be looking for or whatever, and a lot of these guys like doctors, lawyers, that are in like high pressure career fields. Another thing too is that like a lot of times they like a girl who just wants to be a stay-at-home girlfriend or a housewife or whatever you call it, because a lot of times men like to feel like men, and for when a woman, when she's working, like she's a doctor, she's a lawyer, she's in like a high pressure career that requires a lot of her time, men don't really feel like men because the woman can stand on her own. She doesn't really need him for shit. And I think that men, they do like to be needed. They do like to feel like the protectors and the providers of women. And it's hard for them to feel like that when they know that the woman doesn't need them to provide or to protect. The woman can do it on their own. And also there's a lot of like time commitments. A lot of these guys, like I said, even with being a sugar baby, right? These guys expect you to always be working on their time. And you know what I mean? They want you to drop everything that they're doing because they have some free time. Like, fuck what you're doing. But, same thing with guys. Like when a doctor gets off work or something like that, that's when he's free. It'll probably piss him off if, he wants to go fucking golfing and he wants his female or his lady to come with him. But, oh, she can't because she has to be at the hospital for an emergency surgery. Or some shit like that. So that's why you will see a lot of high earning guys that they do just have stay at home wives because they can afford to keep a woman at home. um type shit, you know, and then it really just all depends. Usually I think the only reason that you will see a guy like two doctors dating or two lawyers dating or something like that is because they met in college and they were together before they even started making that money. They were together through their bachelors, through medical school, you know, through their residencies, and they ended up like getting married and falling in love and having kids along the way. So then you'll see like two high income earners in a relationship. But usually, if a guy goes through all of that shit, or a woman and they're single, they are kind of going to find like a little housewife. Even like I've heard stories of a lot of rich doctors or rich lawyer women that graduate and start working single. Usually well, for women it's a little bit different. I would say women, we always like a guy to kind of like be at least an equal to us, at least an equal. So for the dating pool gets smaller for women. The more money that they make, the smaller that their dating pool is, because they almost become like a level where it's hard for another level to like keep up with them. Some women don't care and they're like, fuck it, I'll just have a stay-at-home husband. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Like, make my life easier. You know what I mean? Because they truly enjoy working and they truly enjoy like what they're doing and they're passionate about it. But the average majority is gonna like, they don't really have the same options like men type shit. So yeah, but sugar dating, all that shit, it's just like it's a lot of manipulation and mind games. So it's like a fucking pain in the ass and a headache. So if you're looking for something like serious that could turn into a real relationship, look for a guy that's like 33, 34, 32, even 29. Like even in LA, it's crazy because we have people here who are like 16 years old, like, or whatever, like Charlie D'Amelio's, right? These like Logan Pauls or these Ryan Garcias or these like young, super successful people that are making a fuck ton of money and they're super young. But those are just the ones that are famous. We have a lot of like guys here also that they work things like crypto or things like on the computer that you will never see them on social media. They have no social media presence, but they're young and they're rich as fuck. And so like it's not unheard of type shit. At age 26, 27, 28, like a lot of guys by that time, it's possible that they're already making six figures at that age. A lot of people that I went to high school with that are my same age, they're making six figures right now because they're already done with school and they got their degrees or whatever. But especially in cities like London and LA where they have a lot of like major metropolitan areas, yeah, there's like a lot of younger guys with money there. And social media is always like, oh fuck younger guys, go with older guys, but every time I see a girl with an older guy, she's either being like manipulated or like it just never turns out well. There was one like Sugar Baby too in Las Vegas, you know, and I forget, but she was with like this super old, ugly guy. And they broke up and he took her G-Wagon back. I'll like Google this story to find her name. Las Vegas. And they were like girlfriend experience, like they were actually living together, boyfriend and girlfriend. G-Wagon. How did I get into it? Was I started stripping when I was like 16, 17, 18. I dated a guy who was like 25. I was kind of like into older guys and shit like that. And so he was 25 and his other girlfriend, she kind of came from like a rougher background than me. She was kind of, I wouldn't say trailer trash because it's not like their family was poor. They actually lived in a pretty nice big house in a suburb, but their family was trash, if that makes sense. Like the mother was an alcoholic on drugs. I don't know how they even paid for the house, or like I think that the mom was like some type of like sex worker too, where you know she basically like had some sugar daddies that she met when she was younger who like got her house paid off. But like long story short, so his girlfriend was like really bad on drugs and she just kind of like lived a rougher life, and she was like in the streets. She was almost like a bad baby, like that Danielle Bergoli, how like just like ghetto and hood. She was like that. So when I was like 17 and 16, he would always try to again play mind games and manipulation with me, and he would be like, oh, my ex used to make so much money because me and this guy, we were doing drugs together. That's how we met. When I was younger in high school, I got around the wrong crowd of people and I started using drugs, and I ended up meeting this guy But he would be like, oh, my ex used to get so much money. She used to go to the club and she used to make $1,000 and she would come back and she used to buy me this and she used to buy me this. And he'd always be like, oh, my ex just bought me these. Or my ex, when I was with her, she would buy me these shoes. She would buy me this. Now, the reality is that, first of all, I'm 17 years old. What do you want me to do? I'm not even old enough to really work a job at 17 years old, besides Burger King. But the reality was, he was like a bum. He was like my first real boyfriend ever. And he was like a straight bum. Like, he was literally a fugitive. I had like the fucking U.S. Marshals bust down my mom's door to come get him out of my house. Well, I didn't, but I didn't call them. But like, he was a fugitive, and I guess they were like building a case on him for like a whole like a year, and they were actually watching him and following us for like a year. And one day they just finally like kicked down the door when they got him. But he was like a bum like that. Like, he used to beat the living shit out of me. I'm not lying. A fugitive. He was bad on heroin, and he was working at like some factory job, like for minimum wage. And he was extremely bad, like alcoholic and drug addict. And he was just like a lost cause in life. And he's actually has a baby mama now, and they're living together in like his grandma's house. And she reached out to me a few times about how the baby keeps crying because it's so scared of him, and that she is afraid of him because she hates when her baby cries because he gets mad and he like beats on her and all that shit. But it's like nothing I can really do to help. You know, at one time when I had money from a student loan, I was actually going to send her $200 for a ticket to like leave. And he wasn't like a gorilla pimp, because he wasn't into pimping at all. He was actually extremely jealous and extremely controlling. But he would always try to force me to work, and yeah, basically get me to like trick on him type shit. Even when I was working at Hollister or whatever, I was putting money on his books in jail, because when I was younger, I was kind of chunky. Like, going to high school and everything, I was like kind of chubby. I was like this big, my stomach, I was like this. And you know, as I got into my 20s, I lost like a bunch of weight just from being active and shit like that. But so I never really had many like male suitors in high school. I wasn't like the pretty pop. I was popular, but I wasn't like the pretty girl. No guys ever wanted to date me. So I just became like the fat class clown. And so this guy, you know, when I was 17, I fell in love with him because he was the first guy that like wanted to be my boyfriend. And so even though he was treating me like complete shit, I was just so happy that a guy wanted to be my boyfriend. So I was like, if that makes sense. And yeah, I'm good. This is like 10 years ago, because I'm 27 now. This was like when I was like 18 through like 21. But yeah, he's actually the reason when we broke up. He's why I moved out to Florida and all that shit. He actually wanted to move to Florida, and we were supposed to move there together, but he ended up actually breaking up with me. I waited for him his entire prison sentence, because I was like a complete like pick-me simp back in the day. And yeah, I moved out to Florida alone, and he ended up going with another. But I'm actually glad, you know, what you think in life is a loss is actually your biggest blessing. I would probably be fucking strung out on heroin, in and out of jail, getting beat up every day, and addicted to all types of narcotics, living in his grandma's house with him, had he not broke up with me. Because, you know, so actually, like, I remember I was so sad for that entire year. I was, like, crying my eyes out. I love this dude. But actually, like, now that I have clarity, like, thank you for breaking up with me. Like, you did me a huge favor, actually. Like, that was literally God protecting me from what I thought I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So shit works out like that. A lot of times with men, you think that it's like ending your life, you know, it feels like that, but it's actually God protecting you, and you don't even know that you're being protected until you can be far enough removed to see how God was protecting you the whole time. So shout out to God type shit. But yeah, I have homework and shit like that. So I might start that. But that was a pretty cool thing. I think this is like on my YouTube too. But yeah, I might hop off. Thank you guys for like watching and joining. This was like actually a really like fun stream to do and shit like that. So yeah, I'll be back on here later. I'm gonna do some homework and okay. Cool. Bye.